Okay, welcome back to the channel. I'm Derek Peterson. I'm here with my business partner and fellow co-founder, Roger White. We are going to kick off our first of the season. This is 2026 Big 10 college football preseason tier maker breakdown. That's a mouthful, but let's hop into it. So the SEC moved to a 9-game conference schedule this year. The ACC did too, but awkwardly, 12 teams play 9 league games while Boston College, Clemson, Florida State, Georgia Tech, and North Carolina still play 8. Question mark there, but we'll hop into that in a second. 34 FBS teams hired a new coach for 2026, while Northern Illinois under an interim. That's 25% turnover. That's incredible. We're going to touch on that a bit too, and the talent distribution. So the SEC has 14 of the 27 preseason AP first-team All-Americans. The Big 10 has 8, and the ACC's near absence from that list is itself a tier list argument. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Roger. Let's hop in on Big 10.
Yeah, but just a couple other things. Half of last season's preseason teams that were ranked didn't finish ranked at all. And there's only been 2 instances in the last couple decades where a team was ranked number 1 overall and they ended up winning championship. It was Alabama in 2017, USC in 2004. So those were the only 2 preseason number 1 teams to have gone on to win a championship. So all this talk about Indiana being at 6, I don't think it's very important, honestly.
You said half of last season's preseason ranked teams didn't finish.
They did not. Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it kind of makes sense. You go back to last season, you think about it. There were a lot of disappointing teams, I think, and we'll talk about them. But we have to start here, I think, with Ohio State. So, look, my thoughts on Ohio State. I think when we're looking at SIG tier, the only 2 teams that I think go in SIG tier here are Indiana and Ohio State, because I think these are the only 2 teams that are going to be like competing at the same level as Indiana and Ohio. Like, there's no other teams in the Big 10 I think that can compete with those 2 teams. I understand Penn State is on the rebound. I understand Michigan's still a powerhouse. But in my mind, I don't care that Caleb Douglas and Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles are all in the NFL. I think Ohio State is going to continue to be super annoying. I don't like them. I'm an MSU fan. So this is like very difficult for me to put them in SIG tier. But I respect them. I respect them enough. Like, I think Julian Saint's super underrated. I think he had like the highest completion percentage last season among all the Power 5 quarterbacks. I think he's super talented. Obviously, Jeremiah Smith is great, and it will be interesting to see what Bo Jackson can do. But same old for Ohio State.
I mean, on Ohio State, what it really comes down, I mean, by the way, pretty shocking how they finished up last year. The question for me is, what's different about this squad and Ryan Day that's going to get the job done this year if they didn't get it done last year? Like, okay, Julian Saint's coming back, Jeremiah Smith is coming back, but it's going to take more than 2 key players to really land a national championship.
You know what it is? It's like they're obsessed with Michigan. That's what it is. There's this like unhealthy obsession with Michigan. Again, I'm not a Michigan fan. I hate Michigan as an MSU fan. So I'm watching from the corner. But like Ohio State, they're not thinking about a national championship at the start of the season. They're thinking about that last game on their schedule against Michigan. I don't know. It's a weird obsession.
It's a weird dynamic, I think, and it happens in other sports too. It's like the Red Sox got obsessed with chasing the Yankees for the longest time rather than chasing, the actual championship. I couldn't agree with you more. By the way, I saw that Ohio State and Michigan scrapped their plans to face each other for senior day to lessen the distractions. That in itself tells me they're still distracted.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think if you have a team that is just focused so much on beating like another team in your conference, like you're not focused on winning the championship. It probably means more to them to beat Michigan than to win a championship, honestly. So yeah, but I just threw Indiana in this tier as well. Because again, I think these 2 teams are unrivaled. It's just crazy to think that, like, in 2026 we're talking about Indiana being up there with Ohio State. Ever since I started watching college football, Indiana has always just been basically in this after the trash tier. So to me, they are proof that anything is possible. And I love Kurt Signetti. I think he's just very funny to look at. I think he makes a lot of funny faces. But he's a genius. Like I think one of the best coaches we've seen come through college football in a long time. And what's interesting, in my opinion, is like I don't think he's really tied into a lot of the existing coaching trees. Like I think some people were trying to say he's like from the Saban coaching tree, but I think they only cross paths like briefly. So yeah, he's just kind of come out of nowhere and he's taken the entire college football world by storm. And what they did last season with Mendoza is unprecedented. And it's just it's so special considering their history. So
100%. If there's not a gold-plated statue on that campus already, then I'm not sure what they're waiting for. He is, without a doubt, the fearless leader of the entire college football ranks. And it is funny how he just crossed paths with Saban just for a little bit. And, I think there's something that might be brewing with JMU, but we can leave that for like another, segment and just stay focused on this. But look, this guy's got a track record of winning. That's exactly what Ohio State needs, in my opinion, in order for them to right the track.
You mean Indiana? Or
Ohio State needs that kind of culture leadership presence that Indiana has in order to get outside of that box of, always chasing Michigan or someone else in their conference, right? Rather than just settling into their own like kind of team identity.
Yeah, 100%. And just final thoughts on Indiana. I mean, I know Mendoza's gone. What was it? Roman Hemby also is in the NFL now. So the players that I'm interested in, so Josh Hoover, I think, is their new quarterback. I mean, he's slated to be the starting quarterback, transferred from TCU. Honestly, I haven't seen much of him, but I'm sure he'll be great this season. Wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if he was like a Heisman contender just because he's playing for Indiana. And then also Charlie Becker, who had some flashes at receiver last season, reminds me a little bit of Alec Pierce in the NFL. And then Nick Marsh, who is a guy from MSU, really good receiver. He's also on Indiana this year, so he'll be looking to step up, and I think he's also set to declare for the draft after the season. So it'll be fun. But that game, Ohio State versus Indiana, not sure when it is on the schedule, but I will be tuned in. That will be very exciting.
100%. Time to scoot on to the West Coast. Should we touch on Oregon here for a second?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Oregon, I think you can just throw them into the Indy bound tier. That's their ceiling, I would say. I don't think it's a championship team, maybe. But last season was super impressive. I think they just fell short a couple times. Dante Moore comes back for his final season. I don't think you can't really help but be impressed by what he's done so far, like at Oregon. So they're losing like Kenyon Sadiq, I think maybe a receiver or two, and then DeCorian Moore is the big receiver to watch there. So that'll be exciting. But honestly, I don't really care too much for Oregon as being one of those like new teams in the Big Ten. But I respect them. I think they're one hell of a team, and definitely can end up in Indy.
One big head scratcher for me as it relates to Oregon is their offseason acquisition of Nebraska's quarterback. Who's
Raiola? Yeah, Dylan Raiola. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have Dante Moore coming back. He's highly touted, and you go out and you back up Dante Moore with a guy like that. That, to me, although I do agree with your analysis, I don't think for some reason it just doesn't feel like a championship team, but those are certainly championship signals. Oregon's GM going out and saying, you know what, we need someone to back up Dante Moore if we're going to actually take it to the top. Raiola is a huge talent. I'd be curious if he gets on the gridiron, and even more so how he might fit their offensive style. But, definitely a question mark for how that's going to play out, that QB battle.
Yeah, I think Moore should easily win it if it is. I mean, if it is a battle, I'm not high on Raiola. I watched him last season. I think he thinks he's like Patrick Mahomes. He's basically Patrick Mahomes, but he couldn't really move too well. So, actually, he's not even that good in my opinion.
Patrick
So
Mahomes is pretty. Patrick Mahomes is like.
Well, I mean, it's like there were all those memes about like Raiola trying to act like Mahomes or whatever. So that's why I bring up the comparison. But I'm just not high on it.
It's certainly inspired, right? I mean, like, what young pop music star is not going to be inspired by Taylor Swift and try to mimic some of that, you know? So
no, I don't.
Sure, it's a little bit of that, yeah.
But yeah. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, I was going to mention that the prices. So what's being shown are the prices for the teams, and the percentage change is specifically the change in the team's tokens since we launched them last year. So it's effectively what the tokens have done over the course of a year. So that's just for reference in case that wasn't apparent. But yeah, on to the next team.
Where do you see this price action going? So it's interesting. We have the SIG tier, we have Indie Bound. I know we're going to get a few more teams and prices up on this list, but before we switch gears, where do you see these prices going? Do you think they're overweight? Do you think they're underweight? A lot of different price. Seeing Ohio State and Oregon down 20-some%, seeing Indiana up, obviously deservingly quite a bit. Do you think Indiana's overweight? Do you think there's still room there?
I mean, yeah, it's a 7% yield right now, which is like obviously very high. I think for a lot of these teams, the potential is like you're able to basically sit on the token and earn a ton and just like rewards as long as they continue to win, right? So there's not going to be too much upside. It's still a risky kind of bet. We saw what happened with Penn State last season, right? Like that could happen to any one of these teams where they just completely fall off a cliff. So for me, it's more when I look at Oregon, when I look at Ohio State, it's more like these teams at the very best could go up to $7 or $8. That's really the most a team should be priced at. And so in order for these teams to do that, they have to meet very high expectations. They've got to win it all. So that's what you're betting on when you're buying some of these really more expensive tokens, right?
Wow. So we could potentially see Indiana in a 2-year span go from $2 per share to upwards of $7, maybe even $7.50 a share. That's just like incredible value. And to your point, there's still some left, right? There's still some upside.
Yeah, and there will be another Indiana, 2 years from now. And we haven't talked about I know you mentioned JMU earlier, but that's been one of the most interesting programs to me. Obviously on our side, like they started at 10 cents. So then now it's at 90 cents. They didn't win it. They made the college football championship, but like they didn't win it. Also, a team like JMU going from 10 cents to who knows? One day they end up in a Power 5 conference. That's a $2 or $3 token. So yeah, like that's really the name of the game. I would say it's penny stocks versus more of these blue chip names.
A tier. So let's talk in A tier, Big 10. A couple of programs that jump out, but curious kind of what your feedback is. USC, Michigan, obviously they're going to be at the top, but the 2 question marks for me, whether they belong or not, is Washington. Demond Williams Jr., their quarterback, like awesome. He had a breakout year, and wide receiver Desmond Roebuck, awesome year. So it's going to be interesting to see what Jedd Fisch can do there. What do you think on Penn State?
To be honest with you, I mean, I'm just still shocked by what happened last year, and I don't know. I really don't know what happened behind the scenes. I know there's a lot of just weird stuff happening with James Franklin and the fact that he left, and he'd been there basically all my time that I've been a fan of college football. So it's just a very strange thing to see them all of a sudden just like rebound with nothing to really show. Like I know they may have finished the season off better than maybe they were playing at like midway through or whatever, but to throw, I think that what are they ranked now? They got thrown to 11 or no 16, 18.
18. That by the way, that's incredible to me. So I mean, just think of just purely the circumstances, right? So you have a program that just like completely collapsed last year, had a complete regime change. They bring in Matt Campbell, who I like, and obviously, a good portion of that roster, but new coach at a new program, half the roster's new, half the roster is, probably still learning the playbook. We saw that play out in North Carolina last year with Bill Belichick. To come in the top 25, ranked 18, certainly seems like a heck of a lot of pressure.
No, I agree. And it's awkward because like I would put them in the top 25 ceiling tier, but obviously they're already top 25. So are they at their ceiling? I think so. Like I don't think a team like a program like that doesn't just rebound overnight.
No.
There's a lot of turmoil still there. There's a lot to figure out. I could easily see this Penn State team getting upset in the first 3 weeks and people being like, "Oh, we should have seen that coming." Like,
where do we plug them?
I'm gonna throw them in the top 25 slots here. Unless you have any objections to that, we can debate it out. We can hash it out. We can fist fight. But
I agree that's a good label. Although, like I personally, I think their actual grade, what they're actually worth, they're probably mid for this first year for Matt Campbell. But we're ranking in terms of value and expectations, so I think you got it right with top 25 ceiling.
Yeah. And then I know you mentioned USC. I love USC. I love the way they play. I think they've got a lot of offensive firepower year in, year out, and they love throwing the ball. I love watching teams that throw the ball. So, and Jane Mayava, definitely a Heisman candidate, like super underrated last season. He did have some amazing weapons last season, like Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon both got drafted to the NFL. Lane was like a 3rd-round pick. Lemon was a 1st-round pick. So he's going to have to figure that out. But I think he's got the talent. I mean, it was just so impressive, like very consistent. So, and USC was good all season. I see that I put him in the indie bound tier. I don't think that it's just too tough, I think, for them to end up in Indy with Oregon, Michigan ahead of them. I think they're on the fringe there, but
I think the question mark is going to be their defense. Like, can their defense survive, the better part of the Big Ten? Can their defense actually scale with the competition, which last year it didn't? But they did make a big change there. Gary Patterson's hired to run the defense. In a 4-2-5, despite no on-field role last 5 seasons. Look, do you think the Trojan defense can show up this year? Do you think they can put them over the line?
I mean, from what I recall last year, it was pretty miserable. But I honestly, like, I'm not a defensive specialist. Like, I love just like offense, and I love analyzing offense. But I just, from what I remember, it was really poor last year, and I'm not sure if they lost anyone to the draft on the defensive side of things. I just know offensively, like, it's gonna be very hard for them to replace Lane and Lemon, who were just really, really fun to watch last season. So,
I'm pulling up their schedule real quick. I'm very curious about who they're gonna kick off against. So their first 4 are, they have a path for 4-0, right? So they start off with San Jose State, roll into Fresno State. They play the Raging Cajuns from Louisiana, and then they round off their first 4 with Rutgers. So I think you're looking at a team that's going to get out of the gate 4-0, and then they're going to be tested. They're going to be tested with number 2 Oregon. They're going to be tested with number 17 Washington, and then they're going to be tested with Penn State, who's ranked number 18. But as we identified, that's their ceiling. So they also have to go play Ohio State, and as well as Indiana. I mean, you're dealing with some really good offenses there. There's no doubt this team can score points, but can they keep them off the board?
Yeah, no, I definitely definitely agree with that. So yeah, I'll throw them the top 25. Ceiling tier, I think you mentioned Washington as well. I want to talk a little bit about Washington. I was like, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I was a minor fan of Washington last season. You mentioned Damon Williams. I have mixed feelings about him. I don't really like undersized QBs. I think sometimes they can be kind of a hindrance to the overall offense. But Damon Williams did pretty well. He uses his legs a lot, very quick. He's got a lot of arm strength too. Denzel Boston's gone. He was the best receiver. I think he's super talented. I just don't think they got the most out of him with Damon Williams at QB. Jonah Coleman's gone. He's in Denver now in the NFL. So they also have a lot that they need to figure out in terms of like players to replace on offense. But Washington, I just like I'm always very envious of their just their culture. Like they seem to have a very passionate sort of fan base, and I know a couple Washington fans, and they kind of embody that. So I respect Washington a lot. I think they're always going to be competitive, and given that there's not much turnover, I would throw them in the top 25 ceiling tier, and I would basically equate them to USC in terms of potential.
Interesting. For a guy like Demon Williams, like you said, the undersized QBs, I think, at the NFL, the Commanders ran into this a little bit last year with Jaden Daniels. It's, this guy's an A-plus athlete, right? He can throw it, he can run it, but do they have the offensive line that can protect him against Big Ten defense? That is, I don't know. That's the question mark, right? And so if their offensive line's not up to par for running security, then they're going to be pushed down to the mid pretty quickly. From top 25 ceiling, definitely in mid.
You hit a sensitive spot mentioning Jane Daniels and him being undersized. He's not undersized, by the way. He's 6'4", 210 pounds. He's a big dude. So I have to say that. I have to defend myself as a diehard Commanders fan. But no, like I'm saying he's more undersized just from the height aspect, right? Like I think he reminds me a little bit of Kyler Murray. I just think those quarterbacks, like they just don't see the field very well. They don't see the field as well as Mendoza at 6'4", 6'5" would see it. So I think that's always a hindrance. And the trade-off is you get more mobility out of the position, right? But then again, why not just have a Jaden Daniels who is 6'4" and has the same sort of mobility? So it's always just going to be a drawback for those types of players. But he's still, I still, recognize he's very talented, and they're going to win games.
What's Demon Williams standing in at these days?
I think 5'11".
No way, really?
Yeah, and I say that, and I'm like, I'm also 5'11". So
yeah, I mean, look, can't 5'11". I mean, until Nike comes out with platform cleats to give him another 4 inches under there, then he's going to be standing 5'11" all day. But look, there's been some guys that have had tremendous success at 5'11", but to your point, does make life a little bit easier. Moving on, shall we?
Sure. Let's see. It looks like got Iowa. We can talk about Iowa a little bit. I feel like Iowa, to me, they're always like competitive. I kind of like see their culture the same as Washington, where there's like a very passionate fan base. They're always going to be trying to win. They're always going to be very optimistic, and each year, like they're always flirting in the top 25. So I'm going to throw Iowa in the top 25 category. It's just like Iowa is essentially like they're kind of the grit and grind like defensive team. They're just going to try to like wear you out by running the ball a ton. They've got big old tight ends, some of the best tight ends you'll ever see. Always fun to watch Iowa. And they've done well actually on state colors. So they're up almost 30% since they launched. And that's because last year they did all right. They played well, and I think they also were flirting in the top 25. So that's what I'd expect out of Iowa. Who knows, right? Like who knows? They could make it to Indy again. I think the last time they did it must have been like 2017. It was against my Spartans. A great game. So yeah, that's kind of what I see for Iowa. Just grit and grind, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, good defense.
So
Get you 8 or 9 wins.
I gotta push back here on this one, right? Because there's just so many teams in the Big Ten. There's so many teams in the field of D1 college football. The SEC is loaded. The ACC's got some surprise teams coming up. Are they really top 25 ceiling? That to me is the question. Look, the SEC has, I think what? How many teams in the top 25 for the SEC? 7, 8?
Yeah, I mean it's probably the same amount as the Big Ten, though.
Let's run these numbers real quick. I'm just gonna pull it up. All right, top 25. So Big Ten, we have Ohio State, Oregon. That's 2. Indiana 3. USC 4, Michigan 5, Washington 6, Penn State 7. So generous. Iowa 8. 8 teams. The SEC. By the way, what's Notre Dame doing? Like, join a conference. Seriously, come on. SEC, Georgia 1, Texas 2, A&M 3, Ole Miss 4, Oklahoma 5, LSU 6, Alabama 7, Tennessee 8, Missouri 9. Yeah.
Well, so I think when you look at their schedule, they're beating Northern Illinois. I think they'll beat Iowa State. They'll beat Northern Iowa. They end up in Ann Arbor late in September, at home against Ohio State after that one, and then they go out to Washington. After that, the rest of their schedule is pretty cupcake-esque, other than maybe Illinois and Nebraska towards the end. So I think you look at the schedule, it's like, okay, I can easily map out 8 wins here. And at the end of the day, if you're talking about a team that's only losing to Michigan and Ohio State, that's like you're going to be at the top 25. Like you're going to be, and like your potential is winning out, or maybe winning all but one, and then potentially getting into the college football playoff. I mean, that's the path for them. And honestly, at that point, they might even be in contention for the Big Ten championship. So,
well, the defining game for them is October 9th against Washington, right? I mean,
I would say so, yeah.
That would push either one of these two teams, either, inside or outside of the top 25.
Yeah, like I feel like as an Iowa fan, I'm like looking at that Michigan Ohio State back to back, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm not super disappointed if we lose those. Like that's 2 losses. I can live with that. But you've got to get the win against Washington if you want any chance at like trophies, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll throw them in the top 25 ceiling tier.
The one thing that's missing here from the top 25 is like those token group of 6 teams that always land in there at the end of the year, but always start the next year outside, like JMU, North Texas, Tulane, UNLV is one to keep your eye on, right? So there's going to be a lot of contention for this top 25 in the latter part of the year, but to your point, I think Iowa and Washington both deserve top 25 ceiling. However, I think one of those 2 teams is going to drop to mid on October 9th. So mark that on your calendars. That's going to be an absolute showstopper.
Yeah, I guess that is interesting you bring that up. Like that will basically, in my mind, between those two teams, either flip them to the indie bound tier, like whichever team wins goes to the indie bound tier. Whoever loses, they're in mid. So that'll be a fun game.
All right, we got some tough calls here, but let's start with an easy one. Northwestern, new stadium, Chip Kelly calling plays, Aiden Childs at QB, schedule quirk worth a laugh, 100%. They also play the conference's top 3 teams all on the road. Chip Kelly, Northwestern will smell you. I think they're after the trash.
I don't know.
It's not a knock on Chip Kelly, and it's not a knock on Northwestern's commitment to pour resources into the program. It's simply just, look, you're starting from the bottom.
Yeah.
You've got a really tough schedule.
I just pulled it up. I winced when I saw it.
Yeah,
it's not good.
No, not good. Not good. But hey, keep your eye on this team year 3, year 4. Hopefully Chip Kelly makes it to year 5. You never know. But 2026.
I should add a tier here, maybe between mid and after the trash for like teams that are gonna have really cheap tickets and have cool stadiums that I want to go to. It's new stadium, and against Minnesota, the lowest ticket's $15. So that might be worth it. It's gonna be a terrible game, but also it's
I'll take a road trip.
Yeah. Is it indoor? Like I haven't even seen the state, like what it looks like. I assume it's just on the lake, right?
The new stadium? Yeah, I think it is on the lake in on or near Chicago IL. I want to say it's Evanston.
Oh my goodness. But that's like a full blown, like almost like NFL stadium.
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit short in terms of capacity, but in terms of quality, the venue's going to be elite. I mean, nobody does it like Chicago.
Cool. But yeah. Unfortunately, that schedule is just brutal.
What are you gonna do? You know,
I mean, they get Colorado. Colorado's, they'll be competitive in that one, you'd think, but then they'll get beat by Indiana. Maybe they'll upset Penn State. I remember last year, they beat Penn State. So hey, who knows? Ball State, Michigan State. They should be competitive with Michigan State. Should probably beat Michigan State. Rutgers, and then it goes south real quick there with Oregon, Iowa, Ohio State, Illinois is 4 your last 5 games. So
the field is just too good. That's
who knows? I mean, if they get some momentum, try not to get blown out by Indiana, right? Like you go into Indiana, you get beat like 50-3. That's a huge, like if you can be competitive in that game, but still not win, like that's relevant, I would say. But yeah, I think they have to be in the trash tier, unfortunately.
Here's kind of a kicker, right? If Northwestern overperforms in the Big Ten, I think that's probably a bad thing for the Big Ten. I think it brings the overall conference strength down a bit. That's going to be an interesting discussion between, I think, the Big Ten and the SEC, like which I know that was big last year. Brings everyone out of the woodwork to put in their 2 cents, but something to keep an eye on. I think the rest of the Big Ten,
nonsense.
Yeah, the rest of the Big Ten's hoping that they're after the trash, because if they're anything better, it's probably a bad thing. But sorry, Chip. Sorry, Northwestern.
Who knows? I mean, look, the Chicagoan version of Kurt Signetti could be like getting ready to join that team. That'd be interesting.
So I know that we don't have any sponsors yet, but just out of the spirit and my personal love for buffalo sauce, we should probably just do one just for fun. So this segment will be brought to you by Frank's Red Hot. We're talking hot seat segments here. So brought to you by Frank's. Thank you, Frank. Love what you're doing for the Buffalo Wing community. Let's talk Nebraska. How hot is the seat for Rule?
He's still there? Is he still there? If he's still there, it's
is Rule still there? Yeah, no, they actually I think they hooked him up with a little podcast promotional endorsement. There's some deal there, but Nebraska's happy to have him. I think that they should be. He's a quality coach. He's made some stops. He had a really successful run at Temple, which not many people can say. And he's now found himself, at a great destination at Nebraska. He lost his QB. That might be a good thing. What do you think about Anthony Calandria? What do you think? Do you think he could pull it off?
I've never heard of him before, unfortunately. But look, Dylan Raiola is a pretty low bar. Again, I'm a Dylan Raiola kind of hater or whatever, but and I also think my opinion on Matt Rule, I did get a chance to see Nebraska play in person last season. I just think that the way they run their offense is it's not very interesting. I think it's a lot of like screenplays, a lot of like horizontal passing, short passes. It's more like NFL oriented, I would say. I just think there probably needs to be like more aggression, more creativity out of the play calling. I don't know if I assume Rule's calling the plays, but whatever the playbook is there, I mean, it feels like it has to get switched up a little bit. But I just feel like Nebraska has always kind of had that identity of like not necessarily being too aggressive. I know that during the 80s and 90s they were an absolute powerhouse. So I wasn't around then to watch them, but it seems like in the modern era they've been more of a conservative offense that kind of falls back on the defense a lot. And for that reason, I would say they're mid. They're mid. I know they flirted with the top 25 last season. They probably have the potential to do that again this season, but like you're saying, I just think the Big Ten is too strong, and someone's got to take the short end of the stick. So I'm going to say Nebraska here. They'll. I would expect them to finish a couple games above 500, but that's about it. So,
well, nothing justifies mid like 19-19, right? So that's Matt Rule's tenure. That's the definition statistically of mid. So back to it. How hot is Rule's seat? We'll probably call it mild.
I mean, like, again, I'm not a big fan of Rule, but I would say he should be on the hot seat if he's not, because it's a program. I mean, you just can't come to accept mediocrity. You know, it's like for a lot of these programs, if they ever want a shot at winning a championship, they've got to go out and find the next Signetti, the next coach that's going to come in and be creative and figure out how to win games. So it's like when you sit here with Rule, year in, year out, and again, he's literally sitting at 500. It's like you've had now, 19 wins, 19 losses. We've seen what you can do. We've gotten you your players. I think it's time to move on. That's my opinion.
Yeah, well, to your point about accepting mediocrity, how about accepting less than mediocrity? I mean, let's just crush off an easy one here. And this pains me, by the way. Rutgers should be one of the best teams in the country. They have a hotbed of talent in New Jersey. They can't seem to put their finger on it. But unfortunately, they have accepted mediocrity or just slightly under for the last easily 10 years. Let's go ahead and just chalk up Rutgers and after the trash. Guys, we're praying for you. Make an adjustment. You got to do something. But let's go ahead and buckle them after the trash, and then let's get back to who's next. I'll give you some options here. So we covered Iowa, we covered Northwestern, we just covered Nebraska. What do you think about Illinois or Minnesota?
I do think Illinois is quite good. I actually want to say a couple things about Rutgers. For some reason I have some thoughts about Rutgers. I like Rutgers. I watched them play last season. I think they've had some really interesting players come through there. So Kaliak Manis was, I think he was a great quarterback last season for them. He's on my Commanders now. He had a great preseason showing the other day. So, that was exciting when he was there, and they won some games. Like, this is a program that for a long time was like the worst program in college football. So you got to cut them some slack. They never really had a period like Nebraska's had where they were dominant or really flirting with being the kings of the sport. So they don't have much history, and I think they are starting to flirt with being competitive in the Big Ten, not just in football but in basketball too. So it's more of like a school wide thing where I think they've been in the Big Ten now long enough that they're getting closer and closer and closer to competing. And I just wanted to bring up KJ Duff because he's, I think, one of the less talked about receivers in college football because he's on Rutgers, right? But he was very productive last season. I'm not sure if he had 1,000 yards, but I think he came close. A really tall receiver, about 6'6", and I'm excited to watch him. I'll certainly be tuning into some Rutgers games just to watch him play because he's going to be an NFL talent. So, but I would say, like, I'm not going to debate here. I feel like they could be in mid. That's all I'll say.
They could be in the mid. We're putting them in after the trash. Check their ticket prices. There are probably some Northwestern deals out there for you to get into New Brunswick on a budget. Certainly, they're going to play some good games. The venue's not bad, and they've got some really good post-game dinner options around there. So go ahead and check that out. But yeah, after the trash. Illinois or Minnesota? What do you got?
Yeah, we can go for Illinois. So I know I don't really know how to pronounce his name. Was it Luke Altmaier? Is that his name?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I think I might be pronouncing his last name wrong, but he's in the NFL now. So I honestly didn't get a chance to watch Illinois play that much last season. I know they're very competitive, one of the better teams in the Big Ten. I think you naturally throw them in the top 25 ceiling. But I'll just be honest, I really haven't followed the team as closely as I'd like. But I do respect them. I do think they've got something going there. So yeah, I think top 25 ceiling is sound, but I would love to hear a case for like Indy bound. I don't see why Indy bound couldn't be a possibility as well.
I'm just gonna say not so fast. I'm gonna make the case right here. The last two seasons, they had back-to-back 9-win seasons. They're trending. They're 19-7 collectively over the past 2 years, and you have a fresh face at QB in Peyton Hauser taking over. I think this program is on the rise. Belima has proved it in his first 2 seasons. I think that there's momentum coming here. Keep an eye on Illinois. I have Illinois popping Champaign. Indy bound. It's aggressive, but Champaign the damn thing.
Let's go for it. I like it.
Let's go for it.
I'll put it in Indy bound. They're also one of the best performing tokens. They're up 217%.
Oh, mama.
Yeah. So, and that's reflective of what you just mentioned, that performance the last 2 years. They've just been they've had a different. They're heading in the same direction as Indiana. I feel like they've had a different trajectory where it's more slow, it's more methodical, but there's no reason why they couldn't compete with some of the top teams in this conference when they're proving it year in year out. So
I totally agree.
Yeah, and then I'll rip the Band-Aid off. I've got a couple teams here that are probably going to end up after the trash that unfortunately I do support quite a bit. So we can just go ahead and talk about Michigan State. Look, I mean, I miss Mark D'Antonio so much, and I'm not even going to argue that we're mid. And it is funny at Michigan State. There have been a lot of people that have bought the token because they're betting on a turnaround, which is not necessarily a bad bet, but I don't know what to expect with Nick Marsh gone. I thought he was like probably our best player last season. The defense was just atrocious. I think we had decent QB play. Other than that, this is after the trash team. Unless Mark D'Antonio somehow ends up getting the coaching job again, I think this team is going to be one of the worst teams in the conference this season.
I have nothing to add there. And by the way, let's go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off again. Let's go ahead and slop Purdue in there. 3-21 over 2 seasons, 18 straight Big Ten losses. If there was a category after the draft, it would probably be there.
I'm just gonna put them like all the way on the right.
Yeah, I mean, you could even shrink it and put it in the bottom right-hand corner just to say, look, and that is a statement. Like, Yeah, just guys make an adjustment. You got to do something. I love the culture at Purdue. I love the culture of Indiana college sports, but guys, take a flyer on what Indiana is doing. Take some notes and hopefully make an adjustment. But after the trash, that's where Purdue lands. Let's hopefully bring it up a category. Let's talk Maryland. I know that you're a Terps guy. Let's get into it.
Yeah, I think I probably watched more Maryland games last season than like any other team. So yeah, I mean it was tough. It was tough last season. Honestly, I think they're mid. I don't see why they should be lumped in with like Michigan State and Purdue. I think they're better than those teams. I think they can definitely be competitive with some of the top teams in this conference. And I really like their quarterback, who, fingers crossed, doesn't end up transferring, because I think he's highly sought after kind of in the NIL market.
Who's that?
Yeah, I honestly, I'm blanking on his name.
Malik? No.
Sorry, Malik Washington.
Yeah. Oh, totally legit. Great talent there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's he's tall, not super mobile, big arm, huge arm. Honestly, one of the biggest arms I've seen in person. So he's really fun to watch. I think he just had some accuracy issues last season. That will get sorted out, hopefully. And I think they had they're one of the teams with the most forced turnovers, I think, in the Big Ten. I want to say that's true. They forced a lot of turnovers, and defensively, that's what got them by. We'll see if they can do that again, but I like that identity. You know, it makes them frisky, it makes them volatile, and it makes them potentially compete with some of those juggernauts. So I would throw them in mid.
I tell you what, if they can establish a run game to complement and maybe take the pressure off their passing game with Malik, they're a very dangerous team. But again, without a run game that can be established in Big Ten play, I think that Malik will have a long air in the pocket. It's just too tough.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And if we're going to do a red hot meter, Loxley's got to be the hottest. that's mucho caliente.
Is he one of the like longer tenured coaches in the conference?
I don't know. On that front, I'm blanking in terms of the tenure, but and it's not the easiest spot to turn around, and it's definitely not the easiest conference. So we got to tip our cap to him. And who knows, right? We'll see.
Yeah, and then I think the last team that we've got is Minnesota. Is that correct?
We've got a few teams, and before we get to Minnesota, I gotta spearhead.
UCLA. That's right.
Yeah, gotta spearhead UCLA. I love the story there. I love that they went after Bob Chesney. I know it was probably a pretty tough decision. Their interim from last year did a solid job, but love Chesney, love JMU. I think they have, made some ground with Nico at QB, and I am full hat tip for Wayne Knight, their running back. I mean, this guy he's tough. He's breaking tackles. He also has breakaway speed. I'm anticipating a monster year for Wayne Knight, and to boot, a monster year for Nico.
Mid?
Yeah, I've got him at. I want to put him at top 25 ceiling. I know it's ambitious. I know it's aggressive, but Nico is missing that running game that he now has in Wayne Knight. He straight up carried UCLA in a couple of those wins last year that surprised the heck out of everybody. Bob Chesney taking that Signetti pathway from JMU to UCLA, I think it's just a perfect fit. I've got him at top 25 ceiling. And I've got him as a hard buy on stakeholder. I think there's a ton of upside here. I think Bob Chesney is just going to settle in. He's going to get a big extension. If there's a program that's going to be the next Indiana in the Big Ten, it's UCLA.
Well, I mean, you're certainly ruffling some feathers. But look, I love UCLA. I love Iamaleava. Let me just flex on like all the college football commentators and YouTubers who cannot pronounce his name properly. Iamaleava. I got it. I figured it out. I spent so much time practicing.
All the bouncing ball.
Iamaleava.
Love it.
So I love him as a player. He's obviously fun to watch, but he just had so many lowlights last season. I have no expectations for UCLA because last season I had very high expectations for Iamaleava. So yeah, I think. Look, I want to put them in after the trash or at least mid. But top 25. I mean, I see it. I know what you're saying because the talent is there, right? Like Iamaleava is a good player. Like he can play well. He can beat good teams, right? Like they beat Penn State last season. I know we've been talking down on Penn State, but like that was a good win. They put up like what 40 points in that game. So
40, and now you have established winning culture at the top. Like Bob Chesney is not going to be different in baby blue than he was in purple, right? He's a winner. He's taking that winning culture to UCLA. Be prepared, like full eyes wide open for this team. 120, by the way, that's really, really favorable considering the upside here. I've got this team underweight in the market. Now that we're riffing on it, I gotta pull up their schedule. Let's talk. I'm excited. I'm excited for the Bruins right now. Let's go ahead and rip their schedule real quick.
We'll be able to clip this and throw it on the social media because this is like I think this is the hottest take that we've had in this video.
We have some hot takes here, but they're kicking off the season September 5th with Cal, dub. Next week, the 12th, San Diego State, dub. Week after that, Purdue, dub. Week 4, they're 4-0. They play Maryland, dub. Okay, UCLA versus Oregon. Keep your eyes on that matchup. I think by that time, UCLA is going to be in the top 25. If that game's close or even remotely close, they both stay in the top 25. Following there, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Nevada. I think we're looking at 7-1 here, right? Minnesota, Illinois, Michigan, USC. That is the proving ground for this team. But I have them getting all the way to the last third of the year in position for Indy and certainly in the top 20.
That's fair. I mean, I'm so weary of what happened last season, right? Where I don't know how I've never seen a Power 5 team do this, but they went out and they lost to the easy kind of opponents that they scheduled at the start of the season. They lost to UNLV. They lost to New Mexico. Like those are teams that a Power 5 team should be handily beating. Those are given wins like any year, right? That you're saying now, but it's like for whatever reason that just wasn't the case last year. It was just so tough to watch. So that's why I'm worried about UCLA, and I'm not gonna get high on this team until they show me something. But look, the bar is super low. So
fair enough. Okay, so who do we have left? We have
I think it's Minnesota and Wisconsin, yeah.
Gosh, I want to say we're missing one more. Did we throw Purdue on here yet?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, I couldn't even see it. Now I got it. Yeah, that's where they belong. Okay, so yes, Wisconsin.
Purdue. You know what Purdue needs to do? They need to just like make the world forget that they even exist. It's like Spider-Man in the new movie. It's just like no one even remembers.
I feel so bad for them. I do. They really need a conference change.
They need a sport change.
Yeah, I thought we were missing 3. We found Purdue. We forgot where we placed them. We got them. We got 2 left.
Okay, yeah. Minnesota and Wisconsin. Unfortunately, I don't have much to say about either of these teams, but it feels to me that Wisconsin would be a mid team.
Yeah, I've
I think
got Wisconsin
last
in mid.
season, like
Yeah.
last season, from what I recall, it was there wasn't much going on. So yeah, I would throw them in mid. I love their culture, I love their stadium, but they haven't done anything in a long time. They've been able to turn out some great players in the NFL, and so I'm curious to hear if there's like any top talent there right now. But yeah, I would throw them in mid, and I don't have much else to say there.
Yeah, I agree. Nothing much there. So we got them at mid. And then the last one is Minnesota, the Gophers. I think the Gophers, I think Minnesota is better. They're better than after the trash, but they're not better than mid. I think they're a mid team. However, you never know. I think they could surprise a lot of people and touch, maybe kiss the top 25 at their best. But, I think that they're really a mid team.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll say about Minnesota is I just love PJ Fleck. Assuming he's still there, I'm always going to be like somewhat rooting for him. And I would say like they're at 43 cents. You're buying PJ Fleck at 43 cents. Like that's not bad. I was a fan of him when he was at Western Michigan. Bald represent. Shout out to Bald representation. But yeah, I think he is still the head coach. So yeah, he's still the head coach. Okay. So yeah, I'll be cheering for him, and I have confidence in him. Minnesota definitely gonna end up in the top 25, but I'm throwing them in mid anyway. I'll throw them here. I'll put them in the left side of mid, so they'll be like the best mid team.
You really have them out of the four as the best mid? That in itself, like, is a challenge to actually noodle through.
I just like PJ Fleck.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that is our tier list. And I know we have some logos that aren't showing up. So sorry about that. But we got Indiana, UCLA, Iowa, and you can barely see the Michigan State logo here.
Yeah,
and then off on the right.
It's just because it's preseason, so they're still covert. They're not trying to show all their cards yet.
There you go.
They want to let the logo pop at in Indy. Yeah, you gotta earn it. Indiana has certainly earned it. We'll wear that one. That one's on us.
That's awesome. But yeah, okay. That is our tier list video for the Big Ten. We are doing a promotion right now where you sign up for a stakeholder, you get $15 to trade with. We're running that right now. I'm not sure how long we'll be running that in the future, but if you sign up through the promo code in our description, you can get $15 free to start trading. And if I had to pick a team here to buy, what would it be? Honestly, I would probably go with USC. Just it was like gut reaction at $2. Jane Mayava. This is a college football playoff team potentially. I know we have them in the top 25 ceiling tier, but like I think they have a higher ceiling than that. Honestly, I don't think they're Indy bound. I think they're going to struggle to end up in Indy. But at $2, it seems like it's a very, very good bet, right? Like Indiana, that's where Indiana basically was last year at the time. So
USC. Oh, that's that other team in LA. So I'll go ahead and take
you're
the
going
other
with
side.
UCLA.
Yeah,
It's just to me the price is way too close to USC to justify going into UCLA, right? Like I understand that like there's a world where UCLA somehow does better than USC. I just don't think it's as close as the prices suggest. So
if you were to talk about portfolio construction, I would take both right now. And my target for UCLA this year under Bob Chesney is to overachieve until the last 3 or 4 games. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say there's like definitely dynamics where you buy teams based off like their schedule. You think they're just gonna win these games. And then plan sell it week 4, week 5.
There's one more thing I think we got to say, I think it's pretty customary, but thank you to all of our early listeners. We're just getting started here. So go ahead and do us a favor and smash that like button, smash that subscribe button down below. Let's get the party started here. What's up? Join stakeholder, make some trades, hop on the bandwagon, and let's see UCLA win a national championship.
Wow. So you're just like, you're all in on UCLA, I see.
I don't know. I'm vibing right now.
That's all there is to it. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. And we'll be back with our next Tierlist video soon.
Cheers.